NAL Doe and Jesse. Jacob here with you at the analyst desk, and we're about to go into our second series of the day. It's going to be Astralis versus Soniqs. Now, Astralis, a team that needs no introduction, but we're going to give them one anyway. They were the runners-up at the Charlotte Major. They were number one in the NAL in stage number one, and they took it to the very final game against Dark Zero at that major. They're a great team. They are the total package. They are coming into the stage strong, of course. Their opponents, though, are Soniqs. And it's going to be interesting to watch this team play, isn't it? Because this is a team that had a lot of hype around them coming into stage one. Why wouldn't they? They won the NAL last year, had a really awful stage one, if we're honest with ourselves, right? But started to look pretty good towards the end of it. Do you think, Jacob, that they've been able to sort of expand on that in the sort of off-season break we've had and come to this one strong?
I'm going to put it this way. If they haven't improved until stage 2, I don't know what they're doing. They're in a rut. They very clearly showcased that, and they even explained their own excuses. They listed out everything individually that they didn't do well, which means now, if they don't show up for this stage, I genuinely wonder if they're even going to go to SI next year.
Yeah, I mean, two big reasons why Soniqs don't want to lose this game. Obviously, this needs to be the start of their comeback. This needs to be the start of them like showing that they are still a top team in the North American League. But also Astralis have been a major rival for the Soniqs all the way back to when the NAL first started and them in Disrupt Gaming first came into the league. Of course, DG turning into the Astralis that we know and love today. So for the Soniqs, I think this is a very important matchup, and we need to see some of those upticks that we saw towards the end of the stage progress into this stage as well.
Right, let's focus on Astralis for a second here too. Now, I chatted with DP Fire a little bit over the weekend, and he was saying the 3 C's are what they're focusing on coming into stage 2. Confidence, communication, and coordination. He says we're really proud of how we did in stage 1 and at the major, but when they lacked any one of those 3 C's during a map, it felt like that's when things kind of fell apart. So basically it comes down to kind of taking what they're already doing well and expanding on that, which makes sense when you see this roster. Now, that might be a little bit challenging today because we did find out, unfortunately, DP Fire is not going to be on stage. We're going to have Call Out instead filling in.
Ball out back, dude.
Yeah.
The 4th C call out jumping in onto the lineup. The difference maker
There
for
you go.
Astralis. At least we can hope.
Indeed.
I'm trying to figure out, like, I think DP sat, was he all the way on the far end of Astralis' line, I'm pretty sure? So, like, seeing Call Out in that chair is going to hit a lot differently because, yep, there he is. He doesn't have the suit on. He's got the jersey. Oh, this hits very different.
I like it. I like
just for reference, Call Out was a pro before making the coach switch. This is the first time that he's really jumped into, like, only a coach position because back when he was playing on the EU United roster of old, the original Ape, the original Wichita Wolves, that was the duo. It was Call Out and Forrest throughout their Challenger League days, back to Pro League, then back to Challenger League. So he's got the skill. And honestly, the fact that DP Fire is the one who's not being able to play might just be the best case scenario for where Call Out is meant to fit in with Astralis' lineup. So in spite of DP not being here and how much of an impact he had holding down the backline for Astralis during their major run, having Call Out's wealth of experience and being able to switch strats on the fly based upon what his ideas are could be a boon to Astralis in this case. So hopefully they're able to take advantage of it today.
Yeah, I mean, Astralis, we still know them as one of the best teams, if not the second best team in the entire world. Their attacks are still extremely strong. We talked about that a lot for Dark Zero, and Astralis are right there with them as an extremely good attacking team. I agree that DP Fire, if you have to lose anybody, is probably one of the ones that you want to lose. He has been kind of on more of those like secondary support roles. Usually you think of Forrest as the primary support, but then half the rounds Forrest just flexes to Twitch and kills everybody in the server anyways. So he's definitely not a traditional support player, and I think that like if you're going to lose anybody and you're going to be bringing somebody who maybe isn't as proficient in the firepower role, then DP Fire is not the worst one to lose. But yeah, all in all, I do think that Astralis should still look pretty proficient in this. They've got a former player coming in to fill in for them. There are many worse subs you could have than Call Out.
I just hope that because Iconic cut his hair, they don't lose all their power.
I was going to say, the Iconic makeover. We haven't mentioned that. He's looking very sleek today.
He is.
Looking like looks. That's like the game look, right? Where it's like, all right, I'm going to dispense with all the frivolity, all the extra, right? He's sleek, he's ready to play.
Makes him way more aerodynamic.
There you go.
Okay.
Exactly.
When he puts the bat mask on, he has less getting in the way.
That's true. That's true. When the Batman costume comes on, yeah, now it's going to fit a little bit.
Way cleaner.
More snugly. Yeah, it'll be nice.
Good look.
There you go. Yep. But man, this team has been so much fun to watch in stage number 1. They were so much fun to watch at the major. They were so good. For those who weren't there, holy cow, the crowd loved Astralis as well. And why wouldn't they, right? I mean, that final's insane. It was about 50-50, maybe a little bit DZ favored, but certainly a ton of fans there in the Charlotte venue as well. And, you got to expect this team. You would imagine they're going to have a good stage 2. You'd imagine they're going to want to go back to another major and give it another shot.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be upset with your first ever international tournament, going to the grand finals, playing in front of a home crowd. I thought they performed very, very well. I talked to Colin about, what he was most proud of from that run from his team. And he talked to me about maybe a 5th C, if we can keep adding to this, the culture that they managed to change on Astralis, despite the fact that Colin hadn't had a ton of coaching experience in the past, wasn't a top player in the NAL when he did play in the league. All the guys on Astralis still really respected him. They still wanted to listen to him. They still wanted to put their head down, grind, and learn. And that clearly went very, very well for them in Charlotte. I expect it to continue to progress and get even better here in the second stage because although they are a top team, they're still so young, and I think they still have even more to grow.
You want to add a 6th C to this?
God, just keep adding it up.
Creativity. If only because Callout is with them and you've got his massive repertoire, like his bag of tricks that he'll be able to execute with his team directly, as opposed to only talking like once every couple of rounds with his guys. Now he's going to be able to do it every round with Mango standing behind in case if Mango notices something is incorrect, they'll be able to make adjustments during timeouts. But honestly, Callout should have this one in the bag. I'm excited to see how he'll play.
My pet gecko is named Mango as well. What a coincidence. There you go.
Any relation?
No connection. No connection that I know.
What's the segue from that?
He named himself after my pet gecko, maybe. I think that's what we're going to go with. On the other side of the arena is Soniqs, and this is a team, again, they won NAL last year, expecting a lot from them on stage 1. They did not deliver, weren't able to do that. Now, they've had some time to sort of rework the Gulf swing, as it were, rework how things are working on the team. I chatted with Goddess a little bit. She said, and I agree with her here, that they were working out some of those wrinkles at the end of the stage. They did start to look a little bit better in their last 2 games, I think specifically.
Yep.
But one of the things that helped them a lot, according to her, was they actually were able to scrim against a bunch of the international teams that were here in the U.S. for the majors. So that variety of experience, she said, really helped them kind of iron more things out and come into things quite more fresh for stage 2. But we got to see if Yeti and Co can deliver, right?
Absolutely, and I think for Soniqs' sake, we want to be focusing on those last couple of games as hopefully more indicative of what the Soniqs are going to look like throughout this stage and hopefully in this game against Astralis. I mean, I thought that against SSG, they were crushing it with the opening picks. They were really good at winning those early rounds. Rexon was on top of it with the F2. The defenses were playing together. Kansan and Yeti worked as a real unit. And when they played against TSM in their last game, admittedly, it was a slightly less important game. Gotta stepped into the playing roster. Super got to flex his skills on Twitch, and he got a couple of good frags. But ultimately, I still felt like a lot of those teamworks, the teamwork on the defense was still really, really strong. Kansan and Grixer swing together in kind, and we still saw a lot of positive things from the Soniqs. So I'm hoping that we can focus on that for the Soniqs this stage, and we don't have to spend most of the stage being like, yeah, it's the same problems as the first couple of weeks.
Well, here's the list of excuses that they gave themselves. They said their map pool wasn't that deep because they know they have plenty that they permaban, and the ones that they only tried a couple of times were not met with success. That first game that they had against Astralis to start last stage was on Skyscraper, and it was a drubbing. They did nothing on that map, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back and started their downward spiral for stage 1. They also mentioned that their map pool is one thing, but the way they execute on those maps doesn't go as deep as they want it to go. And they were also unprepared for the way that the meta was going to change with both attacker repick and a new operator coming into the fray at the same time. Regrettably, that is what brought them down because they didn't go to new maps and do very well, and they didn't utilize repick very much. Those are now fundamentals of the game, and if they don't understand the best methods of incorporating those, they're still going to be behind the curve. So if they fix those two things, great, but that's just to get them on par with everybody else, and there's nothing to suggest that they're going to excel straight out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to see the game to find out. One thing that'll help us figure it out, though, too, is the map that they'll be playing on. That has been decided, so it's time to go see what all the bans were and then where we will be going for our second game of the day. No Clubhouse, no Skyscraper to start off with.
Skyscraper makes a lot of sense. Jacob, you just mentioned it, 7-1. That was the first time Skyscraper was ever played in the North American League, and Soniqs don't want to repeat that score, so they're going to take it off of the board immediately. Chalet theme park coming through next. Chalet is one that Astralis are wanting to ban out. It's one of Sonic's favorite maps, if not their favorite map of all time. They did play that map last year as well, stage 3, and Soniqs won it very, very decisively, so it makes sense sense to take that one off the board. Theme Park we're not going to see for the second time today, so a nice little bit of variety come in for the viewers. And then our next couple of bans coming through, Oregon and Cafe. Oregon, very, very fun because Astralis are banning it despite being very, very good on it. They haven't lost it since last year, and Soniqs, it seems like they really have been backed into a corner a bit with these bans. They've going through like their perma bans here. They've been banning maps that they don't like to play, whereas Astralis are banning maps that you can tell that they just maybe don't prefer today and are banning maps that Soniqs are strong at.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to see a Villa get all the way through, but we did. But Soniqs have opted to ban it in favor of a bank, which they have not played. It's one that they've shown a willingness to go to in stage 1, but decided this probably isn't the way that we're going to swing regardless. But they've still kept with a lot of bans that they usually have on the board. No Theme Park, no Sky, no Cafe. Again, if we see them play Cafe, it means hell froze over. So the fact that we're going to bank is interesting because Astralis, the last time they played it was map 5 of the Charlotte Major Grand Final. Obviously, facing Canadian on that map is just like a story unto itself, but for them to go back to it, they were undefeated on that map through the course of the Major until they got to that Grand Final map, which is a nice battleground for them to go to, but there's also a lot of things that the Soniqs are going to be able to evaluate from that themselves. But for the Soniqs, again, still have yet to play it, so it's a bit of an unknown for how they're going to swing here.
Yeah, that final map, the only time Astralis have lost bank in their history, to be clear. So one loss ever, that was the Major Grand Finals.
Sure enough. Well, it's time to find out what the predictions are for our casters, our analysts, and we're going to send it back over to Pengu and Intero, first of all, to see what they have to say about the series. What's it going to be?
Well, let's think about this. So last matchup was Major Champs against Drip. This is going to be Major Grand Finals against Super.
True. You are correct.
Expert analysis.
So I'll give you some more. You guys
paid the
spoke
big
about
bucks
it.
for this.
Parker doesn't want to say much right now because apparently he's a mute.
No. I can speak.
You're here.
I was listening to you talk.
Oh.
Am I not allowed to do that?
I thought
He
you
was
were mute.
enraptured with it.
No, I think Kala being a player right now is great for Astralis. I think if they could put him in like a supportive role, allow the other 4 players to do their thing. They basically have a walking coach who can talk every single waking moment of the game. I think it's going to be a great game, and I think Astralis are going to win 7-4.
Oh, you're making a numbers
Yeah, I'll get a
prediction.
number in there.
Okay,
7-4.
I'm not doing
cocky
that.
you're going to go into the numbers.
shots.
See, what I'm going to say is that I think that the Soniqs have learned a lot. I think they're going to have spent all this downtime improving. Not that Callout is a bad player, but I think Callout had like the worst stats on that E United roster.
That was the EU United roster from 2 years ago, Parker.
Yeah, I know, but that whole team was bad. But Astralis is better. I don't know if Callout's going to be the answer. I honestly think that it's going to be a real close one. I think Soniqs are going to take it.
All right.
You said it.
There you go. Yeah, we have a casting desk divided.
You know I'm right.
Interesting. Yeah. One for Astralis, one for Soniqs. That brings us to our analysts. Is it that difficult to decide, or is it a little bit more clear-cut for you, Jacob?
It's far more clear-cut because
Okay.
there's 2 ways of looking at this. One of these teams has demonstrated a willingness and an understanding of what the current meta is, and one team still has yet to fully demonstrate that and how their skill coordinates with how that meta operates, which means I'm going with Astralis because they've demonstrated a basic understanding of the way that Siege is played in 2022, and the Soniqs, with the exception of SI, have yet to really meet that marker. So I'll give it to Astralis for now, in spite of having Callout in place of DP Fire.
Jesse, you look like you're mulling things over a little bit more thoroughly.
I hate this. I
Yeah?
hate this because
Yeah?
the worst feeling in the world is listening to Parker say something and then wanting to agree with him. But I have to.
Don't do it.
Today because I
Don't
think
do
Soniqs
it.
take this one. I do. I think that
Why?
Okay.
talking with Astralis,
I like it.
in the off season, one of the things that they said to me is one of the things they've been working on is trying to adapt on defense against teams that have really strong attacking IGLs. When I think of the Soniqs, that's one of the main boons that they have going in their favor. Then you bring Callout onto the roster, who just isn't part of the main 5. If they wanted him there, then he'd be there playing. It's going to be a downgrade no matter how you look at it. I think Soniqs are going to come out with a bang and maybe take down one of the top teams in the world right now.
Not sure what he's on.
All right, I love it. I love the disagreement. We'll see. There's only the coin and the fans left. We'll see what the coin has to say. Now, it's going to be heads for Soniqs. It's going to be tails for Astralis, as we do, by the graphic. Let's flip it. It says tails. Coin says Astralis. I was wrong earlier today. Who knows? Obviously, Pengu's pretty happy about that one. But we got to see what the fans have to say as well yet. You get a vote out there. You get to see if you.
That's what I thought they were
able
going to pick.
predict us as well.
I figured they'd go Astralis if only because Soniqs just haven't really shown up yet, so there's not much for the fans to see that they like.
I can see that, yeah. And I think on results it's hard to go.
I know what you're going to pick
against
before
Astralis,
you pick at Twitter.
but
I'm in your head. I'm in your walls.
I agree.
I know what you're going to pick.
Then again, for Soniqs, I think this is a huge opportunity. You look at this and you say, this is a chance for us to show everyone that we are that Soniqs team that won NAL last year. Getting to play against Astralis game 1, I think that's big. I think it's the thing you want if you're Soniqs. Let's find out what our community poll is, what you have to kind of think about and give us a response to. The question is, who will be the superior in-game leader? Will it be Super, or will it be Coach Callout coming in as a 4th C, as we talked about earlier, to kind of coach as he plays, I suppose.
maybe.
But
I
we'll
really
see.
don't
We'll see
think
if that's
Super is going to allow himself to lose to Call Out. Then again, I also didn't think he was going to let himself lose to Drip last
Wait.
stage. But
You just said you don't think
Yeah,
Super
what's
is going to
going
allow
on?
himself to lose to Call, but you picked Astralis?
No, I did. I'm saying I don't think Super is going to let this happen, but I still think, in spite of that, his whole team is not going to be able to contend with Astralis. Super might be pissed.
I
but
hear some waffling.
I don't
That's
care
what I
about
hear.
that.
Don't go anywhere.
There's
When
no
we come
waffling
back,
here.
it's totally waffle. When we come back,
flapjacks.
we'll find out who has waffled correctly. Will it be Super and Soniqs, or will it be Astralis and Coach Callout filling in? Don't go anywhere. The NAL returns right after this.
Fighting Astralis is like solving a puzzle. All the pieces are a total mess. Then you solve it as if you always knew the answer.
善と悪、凪と嵐、何が来るかはわからない。敵か味方か。敵が来たなら容赦はしない。
All right, well, those were the teasers for our two newest operators. Azami being added 2 seasons ago, and then most recently, we have Sens.
Yep.
So both of them, obviously, very cool operators. You should play them yourself. We haven't seen Sens yet. They haven't shown up, but Azami has and was played on defense by none other than Beast Coast twice. Not really all that successful, but still pretty cool to see, and then played by Pambazoo as well a couple times for Dark Zero on Theme Park.
With
either
more
of them-
success.
with much more success. Will either of them show up in this matchup? That's the real question. Nick, we have the Soniqs going up against Astralis. Astralis, not exactly the same team. They've got Callout playing in place of DP Fire.
Similar.
Similar.
Not the same.
He's the coach.
I
Former player.
So I have a hot take. Maybe not a hot take. I spoke to
God.
Samuel Stokes while I was on the couch preparing for this game.
it.
And we had a conversation about Asami because of the map that we're going to be in Bank. Sam and I both think there's a very high chance that Super, aka Soniqs, are going to ban out the Asami because they've been studying the old Astralis bank because Astralis have played it 3 times in the last stage, aka at the major, and Soniqs have not. So they want to play the old school style bank, not get that new surprise of Asami because Asami will change up, I would argue, every single bomb site on bank with what lines of sight you can deny and change up, especially combined or paired with the castle. So, just putting it out there right now, I might look like a fool in like 5 minutes, but I think Super's gonna ban Asami. And if not, then whatever.
One of the struggles that the Soniqs had previously after their championship hangover, because obviously they were NAL champions last year.
Oh, they were, yeah.
For those that don't remember, it was they were championship. Honestly, I didn't even recognize Iconic.
He's got a haircut, yeah.
Sorry, hold on a second here. He shaved
It's
it
so
all off.
different. Yeah, he did.
He looks very, very different. What did Jesse say? He was more aerodynamic?
I think that was the term that he used, yeah.
I believe that was how he described it. But no, so the Soniqs win the NAL last year, right?
Uh-huh.
And then immediately fall off. They have a good performance at SI. They come to NAL. They don't do all that great. They said that they focused way too much on the new stuff, aka the 3 new maps that were added to the map pool, Nick. You've now got 2 new operators that are being added. If they don't think that Sense is going to be played, they don't need to ban them.
Okay.
But then you've got Azami. They might ban her.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty sound logic.
No, I fully agree, and also like, sure, like Soniqs have had a lot of time now to kind of focus up and tidying up their gameplay and their problems in the last stage during the off season here, but at the same time, you're going up against Astralis, who is at the grand finals at the major. Basically. Not undefeated, they had 1 loss in the NAL on stage 1. They only lost to OXG. So you do have a tall task ahead of you. Of course, it's a slight inconvenience for Astralis. DP Fire, unfortunately, has COVID. They found out this morning, so Kala is there instead to play for the team. But Kala being a former player himself, and of course, having your coach being there in the server with you, basically not needing to take a tactical timeout to talk to him, is actually not that bad of a situation if you're Astralis. It could be a lot worse. And you still got Iconic. You still got the player who made one of the most memorable plays, maybe the most memorable play at the major on Oregon, so against Dark Zero. So I think we still see some good stuff here.
I think it really just matters. I think it really just depends on how Callout plays, right? DP Fire came in as I think he was the 2nd or 3rd most consistent player on the team after Iconic. Going into those finals, Iconic was far and away the standout performer for Astralis, right?
Yeah.
You had a good run from Forest on a couple games. You had DP Fire also up there, but by and large, you lived and died off of Iconic. He disappeared against Dark Zero. Not that he just disappeared, but he also got shut down by Dark Zero.
Absolutely.
It's one thing to just absolutely run over every single team, but when you're going up against Pambazoo or you're going up against NJR or whatever, especially at the major, really tough task. Iconic is going to be stacking up against players like Grixer, like Rexen, like Kansan. Those are the 3 players in the Soniqs that he's going to be dueling against. And for a player like Grixer, not a lot of people in the NAL can actually stand up to Grixer and compete. I feel like Iconic is definitely one of those players, and it's going to be interesting to see the way that they collide, especially with the fact that they're going to have Callout on that bench. Statistically, Callout has never been a strong player in either Challenger League or the North American League. He's always been middle of the pack or worse, but it's his knowledge that is really so crucial. He's going to be bringing that knowledge immediately into the server, and with his vision as a coach, it's going to be a little bit more narrow as a player, but he's still going to be able to try and guide the team.
I think you're right. And I mean, we have to talk about, like, Grixer, Rexen, and Kansan, like you mentioned, that is like the opposing side of Iconic. They didn't show up all that well in stage 1 of the of last season. Sir, I'm currently watching a conversation with one of the observers in Super in the chat, and there was a who asked joke that Super completely fell into.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, there's a lot of typing going on.
There's a lot of, we're chatty. It's like coming back from school after a summer vacation or summer break, Everyone's like chatty and like catching up with people and like we're back in the vibes. And as time progresses, that'll probably disappear a little bit more, but it's nice to see.
For those that are watching, I just want to clarify something that was brought up. I can't remember if it was the tail end of NAL Stage 1 or if it was brought up at the Charlotte Major, but basically, there was speculation that because Joe Bro is no longer behind the bench, that Joe Bro is just no longer associated with this team in particular. And a lot of people actually blamed the performance of Soniqs on the loss of Joe Bro and the addition of Goddess as a coach. Super had to take to social media to clarify that, hey, guess what? That's actually not the case. Joe Bro is still doing the same jobs as before, so the Soniqs slump that we saw in Stage 1 is not because of Joe Bro's absence. It's entirely different. They've got Goddess and Joe Bro working along with Super to guide these strats forward, and the Soniqs are looking to pick it up here in stage number 2. Let's waste no more time, though, because Soniqs and Astralis are underway, and the Soniqs banned Thatcher. So your speculation, maybe Azami will be removed? Wrong.
There's still a chance, Parker. The defender ban is still on the table, but first you gotta go through Astralis and see what they have in mind for their bank.
Oh, that's right. She's a defender. That's right.
Yes, she is.
I'm stupid.
It's alright, I'll forgive you.
I'm dumb.
Nuke is 2 for 2 today.
Yes.
Banned in the Dark Zero matchup, and again, same stuff for Bang. A lot of indoor cameras that you can't really get rid of, so Nuke can sneak around. By banning the Nuke, you create basically more value for those default cameras, as you can see every single opponent, because Nuke is the only attacker that is invisible to the cameras. Defender ban.
It's taking actually a long time with this one. Very surprised. Kaid banned out.
So matched with Thatcher most likely, because of Thatcher gone, you know, the basement hatches, they can just like be electrified, you can't open it up, so that makes sense. And now we have to see bada bing, bada boom, and
Azami. Are you right?
Boom. Man.
Okay, hold on a second. I was right. I was just
you were right?
I was about 30 seconds ahead. I said your prediction was wrong.
Yeah, you said my prediction was wrong, yeah.
Soniqs do not ban out Azami.
Man.
It's another Japanese operator, though. It's Echo,
It was
the
close.
other Japanese operator on defense. 3 Japanese operators in the game, Hibana, Echo, as well as Azami. 2 of them can be played, and the Soniqs have not locked in Azami at all. I guess with this locker CCTV defense downstairs, they don't think that she's particularly crucial. The attackers have repick.
Yes.
Defenders do not. So you will, once your defensive lineup is locked in, that's it. You cannot change it. As for the attackers, you can change it up until, what's that, it's like the final 5 seconds?
Final 5 seconds or so,
Final 5 seconds, I believe, is exactly when it cuts off, and then you have 5 seconds of prep to go into the actual engagements. Either way, Soniqs going downstairs to one of what used to be the most common bomb site, and just going off of the Charlotte Major again, an almost 60% win rate for the defenders. So a pretty good bomb site, and it did have the highest win rate on what was an overall attacker-sided map. It was the only bomb site that had a positive win rate for the defense.
Bang throws attackers, of course, long lines of sight. Attackers have bigger, better scopes, and of course the LMG meta, it's hard for defenders to find some ground sometimes. Early engagement, I think it's forced on the Amaro, getting inside the building, taking some damage off of Yeti. Harbor taking their gadget in the hands of Shuttle and Forest, means a lot of damage can be done with the Hibana as well. There we see, nice shot from Forest, takes out Yeti with a sliver of HP. That's a good aggressive opening. No nuke needed here, you know, it was banned out, but fast pace still going forward.
That was very quick for them to get into the building, and Yeti disposed of within 30 seconds. Forest still holding on to the spot. I know it's technically, it's not actually an LMG, is it? The G8 is classified as one, but it's got 51 bullets in it, so pretty close too. This lineup, only a single hard breach in the traditional way, and that's the Hibana being brought out, but look at both the Buck and the Amaru. There's 4 hard breach gadgets available on the board with no Kaid. That means that these hatches will be prime fodder for that.
Yep. That's the Kaid ban value, of course. With the Banshees making a sound, Super swings on the blue stairs and takes out Callout. Has 1 HP left, no heal on the board, which means this position is most likely lost for Super. There's no way he can stick around and challenge this, and if he does, likely gonna fall.
Not great for Astralis to lose their hard breacher first, but as we said, you've still got those follow-ups here. Forest drop to Grixer now, J90 is gone as well. What is happening? Did Astralis decide to just hit the deck as quickly as possible? Because now it's all on the shoulders of Shuttle. Soniqs boxing out Astralis every single step of the way, leaving Shuttle in a position now in a 1v4 to try and clutch on the main stairs. Can't accomplish it yet. Sees the bullets whiz by his head, so he's got the attention of at least 1 defender. Plenty of time for the Soniqs to rotate up and go through open area, but right now it's Shuttle to just slowly play it down. Position given away, misses the Banshee, and he swings onto Grixer. Cannot connect at all. The man that we call Pablo Or, well, I guess his parents called him Pablo. Finishes the deal. That's 2 kills for him, along with the rest of the Soniqs, cleaning up only a single kill for Astralis in round number 1.
Yeah, it was a good start for Astralis. Found the opening kill in 20 seconds, but that's really all that happened for them. After that, it appeared they dropped the lobby and elevator hatch and got completely annihilated. Even though they had a good position on the server side of things with Super taking all that damage, they said, you know what, we've already committed to lobby, let's just keep doing that, and it didn't really work out for them. And honestly, Hibana being taken out might be the cause of that, because they didn't have, sufficient Heartbreach to really breach open those server walls. They only had the secondary Heartbreach canister, and perhaps that was what led them to go lobby instead. Open area is second up, and we are now seeing Asami being chosen for the defenders, of course. It's going to be Grixer on that operator. And I think we're going to start seeing a trend here. With Panbasu playing it on Dark Zero, Grixer playing it on Soniqs. I do think we're going to see those aggressive players opting for this operator, because you can play it flexibly. You can play it on the bomb side, on the roam, you can help yourself be more aggressive or help yourself play more passive and fortify positions. I think it's a great choice to have it on a roaming operator, or roaming player rather, than being like stuck on the bomb side with limited options for use.
It seems like a lot of teams have that same flexibility with another newer operator, which is Thunderbird. There are lots of teams that will set up her gadgets inside of the bomb site, but then keep one in pocket and roam with it. I know that's what we saw all the way back at the 6 Invitational, when Thunderbird actually had a pretty decent pick rate on a lot of these maps, was that they would play her off-site, put down the Kona station, so you could hold an area maybe where you think that you'll be naded, etc., and play aggressively off of that. I think you hit the nail on the head, though. When it comes to Azami, there's a lot of flexibility here, especially with those Kibas continuously regenerating.
Yep.
As they show up, you can give yourself additional coverage off the bomb site, and it can work out quite well in your favor, whether you want to anchor down or roam.
She gets 5 in total. The last one is at about 1 minute and 30 left in the round, so halfway through. That means if you survive for just half the duration of the round, you will get all 5 in terms of value. Forest goes in. Grixer gets misdroned. This could be huge.
I don't know if they spotted him. They do. Forest opens things up yet again. Second entry in a row for Astralis, but that's all they can find. Down he goes. The Azami is no longer there. Rexon finishing off Shuttle and the Soniqs. Right now, in an excellent spot. That DMR in the hands of Aruni, working out so well.
Is Rexon, though, hatches reinforced, can't quite leave, he's stuck inside this room. 1 HP left on Iconic.
Wow.
This could be a clip for YouTube right here.
Call out. Very first kill since making his way back onto this bench, only because DP Fire is sitting out due to contracting COVID. They know that inside is Rexon, but he is not giving up this spot at all. A fourth as well. On to Iconic. They know his position, but it doesn't matter. Richie still gets the kill anyway. Callout's got 1 for Astralis. He'll need to find the final 3. His teammate of Forest got number 1, but that's it. No ace available as Callout knows that it's a desperate attempt to swing into the bomb site, and Sonic shuts it down. That's their 2nd round in a row, and so far, both rounds in this match.
That was a YouTube clip indeed. A 4K on the round is stuck inside of stock room, finding great value for his team. And Astralis is having a really hard time capitalizing what seems like an easy opportunity for them to get back that man advantage or leverage it out to be even at least. When you know that Aruni is inside a stock room, get the 2 windows from outside balcony and the 1 door inside the hallway itself leading to janitors. They didn't open up either of the windows. They never pressured Rexon at all from any other angle than the door itself. And sure, they used the Sophia's breach to open up the wall itself next to the door, but it's not different enough of an angle to make a difference. So I expected Astralis to be able to figure that out better. They didn't, and it cost them. Now they're down 0-2, and this right here is what everyone has been talking about in terms of theory crafting for Bank. Castle combined with the Asami on a top 4 defense means you get 9 different pieces of utility to deny lines of sight. 4 castle barricades, and you get 2 keeper barriers during the prep phase, as we have right now, and an additional 3 throughout the course of the round. That is a 5 + 9 = 9 situation, or 5 + 4 = 9 situation. And essentially, you can really bunker up on the bomb side and extend out in whatever way you would like. And that's what we're seeing right here from Soniqs. You can really shape this bomb site to your liking. We see Yeti going downstairs into Telos Archives as well for verticality. You got Rexon on the Valkyrie with the black eye cameras that can then give you information for verticality and bomb site deny. This is great. Counter pick on the side of Astralis is going to be the Montaigne. The second Monty on the day. /Hawk played it against Dark Zero on the theme park. It didn't go so well, spoiler alert there. But Astralis, they have played this before in stage 1. It's a common trick of theirs, if you will. Look at this. Whee! Where is it going? I think it's meant to go in through the lobby window by going off the edge or the window here. Yep, there it is.
There you go.
Takes. Oh, that's smart.
Is that going to be both? Oh, just one.
Just one, yeah.
I don't know if the intention was to get both, but as you talked about, a second Kiba barrier goes up in that exact same spot. The castle barricade's already been removed, so look at this. You talked about how many explosives are needed just to cut through and gain control of those 2 windows that lead into the bomb site. That's tough to go. And Trickster's just going to continue to be the same nuisance in the same spot.
It's the last one, though, to be fair, so if they can clear out this with the final grenade in the pocket of Iconic, well, then it's done.
Oh, Nade, Astralis, 3 for 3 on these opening picks, but they have 0 rounds to their name just yet. Even at a disadvantage, and a sizable one at that, because Soniqs are not quick to refrag. It means that Astralis are botching the execute from this point onward, and here it goes again. But J9O trades off Rexen, only a 1-for-1 for the Soniqs. If they keep that up, they'll lose because they do have the disadvantage, so Astralis are in significantly better shape than they were in the previous 2 rounds. The bomb site that they're going to upstairs is not as defendable as the previous 2 bomb sites that we saw from Sonic. So if there's going to be a crack in the armor, this is going to be it. I don't think Yeti's been spotted. And when we talk about crack in the armor, you need to exploit these little differences, and Yeti's just a bit too slow. He sees Shuttle, but he misses out. His position given away at this point. Super down for the count, and the diffuser getting planted by J9O. Callout's been downed as well. Can Kansan stop this in time? Yes, he can. It's an absolute brawl, and suddenly Kansan finds himself in a clutch or kick situation. He's been mighty fine. Shuttle on 1 HP, and Kansan gets it done. Phenomenal stuff from Kansan to clutch out the round, and a heroic effort gives the Soniqs a full sweep of the 3 bomb sites.
Absolutely disgusting shot onto Forest on the Monty inside that 4-window room. That right there sealed the deal. The injury earlier on as well, leaving just 1 man standing with 1 HP who was shut down earlier from Yeti, setting up Kansan in a great position to clutch it out, and he does just that with ease. 3 for 3 opening kills for Astralis, but 3 for 3 round victories from Soniqs. What this means is that Astralis are finding the early lead every single round, but failing to capitalize and closing it out for a victory. Soniqs are playing well together, and of course in that individual round of CEO, it was an individual clutch from Kansan. On the second round, the open area defense, it was Rexen with that 4K upstairs in a 1 versus 4 situation as well. Really meaning that Soniqs are showing up in a good fashion, something they were missing in stage 1. And while it is against a weakened Astralis, who's looking a little bit slow, well, we had to give praise to Soniqs. They are showing up when it matters, and they need this first victory. They need these points to have a good chance at making top 4 to have a shot at the major, which is going to be in a long time from now, but every single point and every single match matters to build up to that moment.
All right, well, this rotation gets to start again, this time down at Lockers. And foregoing Teller's Archives, which was the lowest play rate of all the bomb sites here.
It's really not a good bomb site. 7 times played across 93 rounds and has a 43% win rate on defense. Not terrible win rate ratio, but it's not great.
And of course, that's going off of the Charlotte numbers for those that are curious.
Those are the Charlotte numbers.
This position by Yeti. I don't know if he was suspecting that there was a drone up there. 1 player from Astralis is creeping their way down the stairs. Could be a collision course with Yeti on this position. That's Forrest to do that. Forrest has been responsible for 2 of the 3 opening picks so far for Astralis. Soniqs have yet to draw first blood.
That is correct. Slow round here. No opening kill this time around. The roam clear itself is rather successful. We see 4 players in the basement. 5th player, Super on the blue stairs as well. So that this means that now Astralis, they have full map control, quote-unquote, except for the bomb site itself. And then I make a choice. Server or backside. Last time it was a backside. Hash up Yeti. Looking for a flank, has information.
He's going all the way.
That's huge.
He's going all the way to the top right now, and no silhouettes to be found. It looks like every player from Astralis is on the main floor or looking to go down below, and they just charge right through the fire. Leading the way is none other than the Finca of Forest, but this time, finally, the Sonics draw first blood. It's the Wamai of Super to do just that. Super will see a ton of distractions inside a server as they double up. Astralis and the Sonics both lose one, but then things go from bad to worse. His shuttle is gunned down. Astralis way behind in terms of numbers at this point. They can see the bomb site, but they don't know that there's one on the flank, and that's Yeti, who could very quickly capitalize. And it's just a game of cat and mouse as its call out to reposition. J90 has the beat on the upstairs flank, and he maybe a sixth sense, but either way, down goes call out to Yeti, and he has no idea where J90 is. Diffuser surrendered, 45 seconds left, and it allows Kansan to swing. The Sonics are up 4-0 over Astralis.
Might be a quick day for us here, Parker, because the first game, spoiler alert in case you haven't seen it yet, we got a ... was a 7-2 victory for Dark Zero, and so far, a 4-0 start for Sonics. That's going to be like the nail in the coffin because, you know, Astralis already had a rough start to the day, finding out that DP5 cannot play, and then you have a 4-0 situation on Bank that's attacker-sided. Sonics are getting 4-0 on defensive side. It's rough. Lockers, open area, CEO into lockers, open area, and then blank so far. Round 5 is underway, open area it is as mentioned, and we are going to see the similar lineup as last time, with Grixer on the Asami. He was playing upstairs in CEO, and that was the round where we had Rexen inside of Stockroom finding those 4 kills, trading back Grixer's life to great effect. Warden is being played on and off. This, of course, is more of like a countermeasure in case you bring either smokes or flashbangs like a Ying on the attacking lineup. Sense, the newest operator, is also bringing that smoke wall, so that might be an issue if you expect them to pick it. And of course, this is more of like a precaution where by you picking the Warden, you almost guarantee they will not attack a repick into something that you don't like the Glass, like the Ying, like the Sense, and it just gives you a bit more stability.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
I don't know what Astralis is going to do right now to try to sort this out. I mean, I don't even necessarily... Okay. Well, we talked about first blood, and the Sonics got it back in round number 4. It was their first time to draw it. They'll draw blood again before you can see Astralis do all that much. A very similar roam from Grixer from above as well. So, well done by Sonics. Immediately an E1D is burned as Astralis looks to reposition after having lost Shuttle. Shuttle 1 and 5 is not going to get it done, especially on that buck roll when you bring the can opener. So look at this lineup. Technically, your hard breacher on Astralis is the first one down.
That this is going to not bode well. I mean, open areas, the hard breach is very important because there's not many ways in towards the bomb site itself. You also lose half your vertical damage. Of course, you got Sledge, call out, finds a kill, gets traded back instantly by Yeti. Again, Sonics playing well together on this top floor area on the roam. 5v3, they have the IQ, can deny information, but the thing is, there is none to be found. No Valkyrie on the board this time, no real active gadgets they can find at all with the IQ. Here we see the barrier. Helps out Grixer.
Just a second too late for J90, but immediately used up. Grixer engages, but can't do all that much. The LMG too much to handle. J90 walks away from that hurt, but still with the kill. Just like that, it's a 3v3. So Sonic's roam proving to be quite a success, wasting half of the round, but Astralis will need to pivot very quickly because they've got control of that top floor. Sonics have fallen back. They're going to sit in the bomb site and protect it as best they can. And you've got very little utility. No nitro cell for Kansan. Yeti doesn't have access to those impacts. There's nothing but a bulletproof camera for Super. So there's no real bomb denial. There's no real diffuser denial. There's no real entry denial. There's nothing you can do to try and stop them. All the while, Astralis still have drones, they still have nades, they still have explosives. So they are sitting quite well in terms of this utility.
That they are. At the same time, Astralis, they have 2 ways in right now. They got 3 technically. They got the double door from main hall. They got double door from square that we see Forest at. And they got a soft wall inside of Archives to Forest's left-hand side that they can open up, which I expect that he will. So those are the 3 areas. That right there is a great kill for Astralis, taking down the roamer. Now Lance 2 members are on the side itself.
Iconic dropping Super, and nade goes in as well, and it looks like that stalemate's going to finally break. Kansan is 7-0. He'll need to be 10-0 in order to win this one, and they're breaking right in. He knows there's one, but he doesn't expect the other at Copier. He could have get the double up at the doorway to staff area, but alas, only one. A bit of laughter from Callout as Astralis finally get on the board. They will need to get at least one more to try to salvage this first half because the Soniqs right now have them in a great spot, up 4-1.
I was going to point out that my prediction of 7-4 is still very much possible for Astralis, but they have to win 6 rounds in a row to do it justice. Tall task ahead. Sonic starting with his, or going back to the same bombs that they just lost previously. And operator lineup wise, the only difference here is that Warden is not in play, but instead the Wamai is. So now we can help the situation with the explosive and whatnot, maybe help out the keeper barriers and Asami and keep them alive as well. Also kind of allows Super to move his ADSs to a different location, but he's put all 3 of them on this quadruple wall towards bottom square, talking about how important how important that area is and to keep the player in that position alive. Extension upstairs again. Of course, this time we see Yeti on the Valkyrie, which means that Con is going to stick the IQ to find those cameras. The only attacker repick that we see is that Callout will go from Dokebi to the Jackal. Once again, we're talking about the roam clear. It's always about starting on the top floor of the map, working your way down. If you attack horizontally from the first floor, you have to worry about the basement staircase flanks and the top floor verticality and the top floor flank itself. So by going up top first, that's unfortunate, Grixer. Try again. Oh, one more, and again.
There you go.
Those lineups, you know, this is how intricate it is to play Asami. You gotta know the lineups, the small nitty-gritty details, and one slight mistake, one, miscalculated adjustment, and you won't get the full value of the gadget. So, good correction there from Grixer, but it does cost him 1 kill barrier.
This position by Grixer has been so strong, even though it's been Kansan to get most of the kills for his team. Grixer still wastes a ton of time in utility. We talked about this in the previous round. Utility burn is so critical, and I think there's a misconception that a lot of players have about what roaming is. A lot of people think roaming is about getting kills. Sure, that's obviously a facet of almost every single role. You're going to want to try to trade yourself out.
Yeah.
But we also try to contextualize it and say that getting a single kill every single round is extremely impressive in Rainbow Six.
It is.
If you can maintain that KDs of 1, then you're in good shape. Look at that. Forrest walks in again, Astralis leading things off. Phenomenal on the entry.
Oh my
and they're
God.
going to continue to clobber the Soniqs, leaving Yeti and Super as the only 2 players left with half of the round to go.
That's like a whole different Astralis on round 6 than round 1, 2, and 3. Explosive, they played together and they kept up the momentum, and they also won almost every single gunfight that they were in that round. They still got the hard breach, Subtle is alive, so now they can open up the hatches. This is gonna mean there are more ways into the bomb site now than last time. Last time it was 4. Last time it was 3. This time we can make it 4 with that hatch being opened up.
Astralis have so much time to align themselves with this bomb site now. Open area being the very final defense for the Soniqs before things swap and allow Astralis to go on to defense. This is an attacker-sided map again, based on the stats that we have at our disposal. So Soniqs taking 4 rounds already is pretty good shape. It's all on Yeti now as Super gets taken out of action. It's the bomb site being held by Astralis. Yeti cannot get back in, and Astralis take these last 2 rounds in a row. A brief mental momentum swing for Astralis is happening in front of us. How brief, though, is the real question.
Well, the trouble is that they found out how to make their attacks work, but that was the final attack round for Astralis, unless, of course, we're going to overtime. Now they got 6 rounds, or possibly maximum 6 rounds ahead of them on the defensive side that they had to work with. So now the game kind of changes, you know, what operators you play, what guns you have, and of course, just the entire philosophy of how you should spend your time in your communication in the prep phase. As an attacker, spend your drones, gain information, and pick where you want to start your attacking round. On the defense, where Astralis are now finding themselves, it's all about setting up a difficult puzzle for the attackers to solve. One of the weaknesses, you can argue, of Astralis is that when they're facing a team that has a really good IGL, that knows how to like flex around and play dynamically, like Super is from Soniqs, that's kind of where they struggle, because Astralis, they like their strats. But when they get red, they're not the greatest at adjusting or adapting their strats on the fly to combat what the enemy is doing. So the initial setup that we see from Astralis, it could work out, but in the following round, if Soniqs figure them out, that's kind of where they'll struggle usually to adjust to that adaptation. Very different key barriers being used from Astralis' side. Much more aggressive on these initial windows in the top square area, allowing that Gender's door rotation to be more successful or useful, while Grixer clears out a bit of utility downstairs on the bomb site itself with those Terror drones from Flores.
I think it was Jacob who asked on Twitter during the off-season, why is Alibi's pick rate surged so much? And he got a lot of really good feedback from pros, basically saying, she's got 3-speed, she can do site setup with the bailiff, she has access to a shield, she's got her clones which can be used just about all over the map for a variety of reasons, right? It could be that they get put down, as you saw from one of those Alibi decoys, so that if you go to hop in the window, you get tagged. You can also put them through soft walls where if somebody sprays through the soft wall, it reveals your position for a short period of time. There's a lot of flexibility here. And I mean, hell, we even saw how strong Alibi could be in that theme park matchup of both Dark Zero as well as Beast Coast earlier today. So we now see her in action again. J90 will be on the roam, very likely, and is actually leading the team in terms of kills at the moment with 6.
That he is. Also got those impact grenades to either shape the map differently, deny some breaches. Opening kill goes in favor of Astralis, but traded straight back from Kansen, so good job from Soniqs there. Doing a bit of damage. Grixer's on the side, by the way. I don't think they realize because the Astralis have no players on the bomb side itself. They're all roaming. What is they're planting?
And look at that.
What?
Soniqs are going to take full advantage of this. Super halfway now, and it's Shuttle to get back into the bomb site. Can he stop it in time? They don't know. He misses an opportunity and has to go for the reload as a sitting duck and falls to Grixer. Now through the rotate inside of Archives. Grixer spies another back towards the main door. Good target prioritization so far. They're going to try to double up on him, and they'll do just that. An excellent re-entry from Astralis. It leaves the Soniqs in a worse spot and down at numbers.
They can
but
long
because
arm
things have been opened up, Forrest will need to long arm. To the rescue is Kansen, but he's got limited time to do so. He might catch him from the back. He does. Firing away. Kansen picks up 2, and Callout cannot clutch. Kansen, what a miracle in this 1v3. Gives Soniqs their first round on attack.
That is Kansen twice now in a single map, showing up, getting those kills when it matters the most. With 2 seconds left, if not less, on that defuse, he makes the dream work in that round. Instead of going directly for a confrontation, he recognized the flank was open with that rotate in Archives that he saw earlier. He took advantage of that, a small gap in the structure of Astralis. But earlier than that, it was Grixer who found himself on the bomb site in the middle of the round, told Super, hey guys, this is completely clear. Jump on in the window, get the plant down. This is actually free. We can steal this round away. Then, once the plant went down, they opened up that single wall where the bomb site, or where the bomb itself was planted, allowing the postman to be played more passive. That didn't work out, but the clutch did instead. Great job from Soniqs and Astralis. They really didn't have a single player on the side, so that early Alibi Prisma that we saw on the copy window to the bomb site itself being cleared by Grixer actually paid off massively because there was no information to be had once the clone was gone.
Soniqs they always seem to be in it every single round, and Astralis had that mental momentum. There are no momentum mechanics here, especially on attack. On defense, I think you could talk about momentum just based on the bomb sites that you go to.
I think that's a really good point, actually, because, win rate on bomb sites are very set in stone. Like, there are very heavily favored positions to be in. But on attack, it's much more about the actual pace that you're setting and whether the defenders can match you or not. So I fully agree with that statement.
Well, it's another roam for Astralis now, quite aggressively. Iconic and Callout working together. Nobody really suspects the roaming smoke of Iconic, but we've seen that now as the ability to open up the bomb site has been given to other operators. There are a lot of smokes who will now roam with that FMG, and that's exactly what Iconic is doing.
Is Rex in the skylight tried to catch a rotate, but no rotate was had. Still got 7 drones on the board from the attacking side of Soniqs. Made that... No, it's still 7. It's still 7. Shuttle gets a kill onto Yeti. That is the opening kill for Astralis. They're kind of trending here because they're getting kill after kill after kill after kill.
And there's another, this time Callout. He's no DP fire, but the coach can still play. Both players from Soniqs to get into the building are swatted away. Now it's Kansen's turn. He's 12-2. That is an eye-popping amount. It's Rex.
Oh, the timing.
That's not great for him. Gets dusted by Callout. A second kill. I was going to say, when you've got Kansen and Rexen playing as well as they are, well, I mean, Rexon's 6-5 at this point, was 6-4, then you can usually breathe a sigh of relief as Soniqs. You've lost all of your best players statistically, and you need to even the numbers. A man who doesn't frag all that well, but surely wants to show off his new in-game charm is Super. Picks up a kill for the Soniqs, and it's the very first one for his team. So the Soniqs have control of the main floor. They got the hatches opened up, largely because Astralis gave them those hatches open, that's how they wanted to roam.
Yep. And I will say, Super's 3 kills, or 2 of them at least, have been quite impactful early on the defensive side. So while he doesn't have many of them, they usually do reward quite a lot of value here. But Iconic on the flank still alive. That's going to be trouble for Soniqs, because now when you're on the first floor, you got to worry about the staircase in the basement right here, and of course the entirety of the top floor level with no information and limited drone information. They're going to be guessing where Iconic is.
Goddess behind the bench has her eyes fixated on what Grixer is doing right now. I don't know if this is going to be a focal point for the team. No timeouts burned either, Nick. There goes Iconic to Grixer from above. 30 seconds left. Not a ton of time, and the 3 players from Astralis will be deeply nestled inside of that bomb site, sitting as safe as sound, tucked in and ready for a good night's sleep. The question is, will the GN be delivered by the attackers, or will the lullaby come from the defenders? In the name of a Nitro cell that goes out and does not deal enough damage to claim either player, but the guns from Forest and Callout do. Astralis answers back. This gap is closing. The match is still very much the Soniqs, but with 3 rounds, I would argue that Astralis are within striking distance.
I mean, they are, and if you look at the 2 rounds that Soniqs completely stole, you know, the Kansen, 2 of those rounds. I mean, even Rexon had a phenomenal round as well in that, 4K upstairs in Stockroom. There were potentially 3 rounds that the Soniqs have that could have much or very likely been Astralis's. That's a completely different scoreline. Then it's 6-2 instead of 5-3 in a much more one-sided matchup from Astralis' side. But because the Soniqs clutched out, because they played so well in those 3 rounds, we're seeing a 5-3 scoreline instead. But I will say, if the Soniqs, they do not show up with the clutch factor, and Astralis, they keep up the opening kills and playing together, trading each other effectively, then we're gonna go the distance. Because that's what we're seeing right now. Both teams fighting for each and every single round, and it's close. Open area is back where we are again, I believe.
That's correct.
Finding ourselves in a... Well, last time they lost it, it was a very close round, and the roaming game from Astralis was great.
They lost
it
because
bomb
of the
side
clutch.
was... Yeah.
If they don't lose that, Astralis goes on a 4-round win streak of their own that they're still on, and it's a 4-4 game at this point. All because they left a small part of their defense exposed, which was that entry point through Archives.
I see 4 players. I'm going to assume and hope and pray the 5th player's on the bomb site this time, because otherwise there'll be trouble.
You mean you don't like Super just walking in and getting the diffuser planted
No, I think
without
that's
a
kinda
single bit of
odd.
opposition? You don't like that?
I believe there's a player inside now this time around, and that means that we get to see the kind of like bomb side play out the way Astralis wants it to, because they want to get challenged on the roam. You see Shuttle in the corner. So Astralis, they want them to go upstairs. That's where they've set up all their puzzles for them to solve for the attackers, and last time we didn't see it. So we have no idea what that looks like. But this time, we just might. It's Iconic with these tricky, oh my god, keep it barriers, like shaping the map in a very different, way than we usually see.
It's been very popular with both the Soniqs when they were on defense, and now Astralis doing the same thing, holding so well upstairs. And Soniqs are on the hunt. They're going to look for this first blood, which has eluded them in round after round after round. Astralis usually so much better, but Rexon finds his way in and gets kill number 1. Forest is there for backup for Astralis, but it's too late now. It seems like once you get that opening pick, the Soniqs have settled down, and Forest sees the Finka of Rexon, but can't really do all that much with it. A jump out instead read well, and it's Astralis with 2 kills and Super to get 1 of his own. That still, though, puts us at a 3v3, and also means that Forest needs to get back into the building. A quick read from the Soniqs, that means that there's only 2 players who could be close enough to the bomb site. It allows Forest to reposition, though, as we now hit the halfway point of the round.
Normally when a guy jumps out like that, you can make the call as an attacker to rush the bomb side 3v2, but with no information to work with, Soniqs, they opt not to. Instead, play out the 3v3 they got time to work with. No impact grenades to deny this breach. That means the wall will get opened up. That's gonna, of course, give Soniqs a bit of a bigger advantage, because once you pressure the bomb site itself, well, the roamers of Astralis, they have to make a move, and hopefully that's where you want to catch them as they're rotating across the map. Yeti is waiting for just that right now, but Astralis is sitting somewhat tight, understanding that they don't need to move a whole lot right now.
No, they don't. They're going to get the pings from this alibi decoy, as we talked about before. Forest is positioned to greet them. That's Super, who's at the top of the stairs. I believe it actually could be Yeti. No, it is Yeti. I was deceived by the outline, but for a second, and Forest very quickly subtracts his head from the rest of his body. Grixer sprints in, knowing that the time to go is now with 30 seconds left. Astralis have one downed, so it's a 2v2, but it becomes a 1v3. Technically, a 1v2 as Super walks in. What kind of magic, what kind of mojo can he possibly find? An impactless kill onto the down. He thinks that there's one over towards Tellers, but there's great patience from Astralis as they get up. And no amount of aim lab is going to help you there, Seth. Astralis answer back, and now they are within one round of tying this game. Your prediction? No longer possible.
No longer possible,
But it was no longer possible after round number 7, but an Astralis win is still potentially in the cards.
I also want to say that you said that, you know, if Soniqs hadn't clutched round 7 on open area, well, now Astralis would have like 5 rounds in a row. We can almost make the argument, for my sake, that because the Soniqs stole round number 7, it doesn't count. So technically it can still be 7-4, it'll just look like 7-5. That's at least where I'm coming from. Taylor's Archives is seeing play. That means that all bomb sites that are available on Bank will now have been in action, something that we don't typically see very often. But what we also don't see very often on Bank is LM, which is also being brought out by the defending side of Astralis, together, of course, with the Castle and the Asami to help reshape the upstairs hold that is his CEO area. Because, as we know, all those window repels and lobby repels are so hard to deal with on the defense without those zoom scopes. And this, of course, these pieces of utility will help you greatly at holding your ground for longer and more comfortably as well.
All right. Crucial round for Soniqs. They've completely lost the plot through the second half of this game as Astralis have woken up and they really seem to settle in. They got the first pick on a couple of rounds, but then Astralis couldn't do much with it. As we talked about, you get that first blood, but guess what? Not much happens.
What?
Yeah, I'm sorry, excuse me. Rexit has the diffuser going down, gunfire raining out. It looks like a retake going in, but the timer starts to run, and Astralis answers back. Both teams losing bodies left and right, and suddenly there was a bit of calm. Playing behind the shield is Shuttle, and he guns down Super. It's Grixer in a 1v3. He can get himself back up, but J90 ensures that's not the case. And all the momentum in the world is now Astralis's. Yeah, they might have a coach, but you're doing DP Fire proud. Tie game. We're guaranteed all 12 rounds between these teams, as it's 5 apiece, Nick.
There it is. I want to say Exit and Astralis are like the kings of retakes. I have not seen many teams play so comfortably in like a 5v5, 5v4 post-plant situation on the defending side, but both of those teams are so efficient at playing together that they can get it back into those rounds where normally all is lost. The moment that bomb goes down, we're all thinking it's over. They can play a post-plant, they can play above, they can hide in corners, and Astralis have to walk around with no information. But they win the gunfights by trading each other out one by one and eventually getting such a big lead. It's a 3v1 with the last guy being stuck halfway across the map, only able to swing a single angle. Well done, and that's going to force the tactical timeout from Soniqs as this game now just got really, really close.
It's a perfect time for the Soniqs to take their timeout as well. And a smart move for Astralis to do it too. I don't even know if Astralis will take a timeout because guess what? Their coach can talk at any time.
The entire time.
It would be the same as if somebody had to sit out for the Soniqs and have Goddess play. And I believe Rexon actually did that back in stage 1. He wasn't able to compete, so Goddess came in and played on the team. And I think she actually had like the highest like rating or something like that.
She had a really good game on Chalet. She played Jaeger and she was just holding her ground against pro players despite not having been a pro player herself for, what has it been, 2 years? Has it been more than that? It's been a long time. It's been quite some time.
When was her last game? That's a very good question. When did Goddess last play?
I remember she played at DreamHack back in the day.
Well, she's a champion.
She's
a DreamHack champion. She was on that old Cloud9 roster that would later go on to become Reciprocity and is now OXG. That roster that won and got to SI had her play on it. She competed on the same team, if I remember correctly, at the US Nationals as well on that C9 roster too. That was shortly before they became Reciprocity. And always played those thankless roles. But either way, she's now behind the bench and she brings a wealth of experience to the team who already have no shortage of experienced minds. Joe Bro has been widely hailed as one of the best analysts that we've seen in North America, and the mind of Super is a beautiful thing. Also, I believe, a podcast, if I remember correctly, that he does with various pros. Either way.
Yeah.
I'm not here.
Super says.
If Super says, I'm not here trying to shill for Super, but I. Oh.
I hope that's just us.
Oh my.
Yep.
Yeah,
we're back.
fine.
We're good.
Temporary jam going on.
Those mid jammers got a buff or something during the offseason.
Wow, they definitely did, especially since I don't think Shuttle has any close by. Iconic, as we talked about. This roam before, but Rexon is in. He's opened up the hatch, and suddenly he is within feet of getting to the bomb site. And look at Forrest is right behind him. Neither seem to know. Now it's Rexon inside of gold. He's given his position away. Tachanka is on the ground. A bankable angle that he has with that Shumika launcher. He can do some serious damage. They know that the push is coming in, and that's a miss from Callout onto that Kiba barrier, and he's going to lose some greater vantage points. Forrest with 6 cents. Shooting through the wall, takes down Super. Diffuser surrendered inside a vault, and will now need to be retrieved. Astralis look right now in a perfect spot to take match point. This was unthinkable after rounds 4 and rounds 5 back at the start of this match, but hey, that's why we go the distance.
It's why you always fight and never count yourself out until it's really over, because every single round is a new start, new beginning, and Forrest right now is in a great position to take that advantage. That's just that.
A lot has been said and a lot of ink has been spilt online about how he has been incredible for Astralis, and this round is no exception. Suddenly, Soniqs, who went for broke after surrendering the very first pick to Astralis, have come up completely empty. And with 1 minute left, their lead in this game evaporated 3 minutes ago, and it is now getting even worse. Yeti and Grix are to work together. Neither positive players at the moment. That's not good for their stat line. It's going to get even worse. Grixer, who they needed a strong game from, well, he's got 3 more deaths than kills. It leaves Yeti down in server. They know where he is. He can't get out. He can't go in.
Oh, nice shot
on the Forest. Down goes the Tachanka. Now it's Iconic softened up. Yeti fighting for his life from this position, but his life ain't that long. Astralis on match point, and they have all the momentum in the world.
While Soniqs might not be working out with what they're doing right now, I actually do want to give some praise to how they're choosing to play against the Astralis right now. The one-off pocket stretch, rushing the bomb site, getting plants down, etc. The thought behind what they're doing is actually quite good, and it's working out really, really well. But it's the post-plant situations, after the fact, after they've made the decision of what to do, that falls apart. That round, lobby rush, they were clearly going to all full send down the hatch because they were mid-sprint. But it's only Rexon, the one player that ended up actually managing to go down the hatch drop, because right before that happened, Iconic got that opening kill from the top area of CO, swung out the window, and there was probably a call made from Sonic saying, oh, abort, we can no longer do this, but it was too late. Rexon already committed, 2 players stayed above, bit of a scramble, and Astralis just finding those kills, stopping a Soniqs in their tracks, killing Super inside a vault who had the diffuser. That right there was arguably the last nail in the coffin for the round. And now we're gonna go to the match point round for Astralis, which is crazy to think given how things happened earlier on. It's open area. They are 1 win, they are 1 loss in terms of rounds on this bomb site so far. It is the most played bomb side from the rally major, but Rexon finds an opening this time on the only side player of Shuttle, so someone else would have to take his position. Looks to be J90.
Oh, that was a bullet pen kill, it seems like, and that is unfortunate timing for Astralis when they have seemingly leveled up their gameplay. Shuttle really bounced back in terms of kills as well, and he could have added even more to it in what might be the final round between these two teams, as he was 1-5 at one point, now 5-8. That's not too bad. It means that there's going to be 1 body on the bomb site less. It also means that there's no toxic canisters. That might be the worst part of Shuttle's passing for Astralis, is that you do not have that denial for those 40 seconds or so that you can string together.
It's worth noting that normally when you have somebody playing the bomb site, they're called an anchor, and how you become a good anchor is just by, playing the bomb site alone.
You stop the boat.
You stop the boat.
How do you become a good anchor? You stop.
You stop the boat.
You stop the boat.
Then you're a good anchor. By playing the bomb site alone, it's much more of like an experience thing. So Shuttle dying means someone else has to do that job. That's call out. He's not normally in this strategy. He's a coach, so he has no real experience, doing this job, and that's going to mean that that was not the right barrier.
See, Iconic thought that if you throw it at the ground, it would create like a small angle up. But the problem is that that's not the way that they work. So all you've done is create a semi-impregnable area on the floor that I don't think you can already shoot through anyway. So I mean, you haven't really done all that much with it anyway. Bad place for Iconic. And also, it disrupted your point, which is maybe the worst part. Teams trade back and forth. Sonic still with the upper hand over time at the moment. Looks semi-likely, but Forest is 15. On an entirely different level.
15 kills to his name right now, looking for more. Iconic, of course, takes advantage of this situation. Timing is bad for him, looks the wrong way. All the guy jumped down, so it's clear, but they know this now. Back to side we go.
Forrest on the fastest operator in the game. He can reposition so quickly, and there's Kansan to pick off Iconic from above. This roam was maybe a little too loose for Astralis, operating with very limited intel. All that's left are the dual T5s on Legion and Oryx, but Forrest can very quickly jump back up and hold that map control well, and then immediately drop right back down. So a decision that has been decided against. And he takes out a third player from Soniqs, and right back up the hatch he goes. Very quickly repositioning. The last two players from Soniqs are on the top floor. They will come head-to-head with these two players from Astralis, who are sitting in the middle of the bomb site. It's an open area bomb site. Things are about to get very frantic, and the gunfire through the wall just narrowly misses Super as he continues to amass. And now he's inside of the bomb site, but he's getting softened up. Yet he takes out Forrest. It's call out. The coach will need to clutch, and he can't get it done. It's Yeti to clutch instead. The Sonics stick around for at least 2 more rounds as overtime is needed to settle the score.
We're going the distance. All right, I want to see more of this. I'm excited. That was quite a round. A lot of things happened there. Soniqs got the early aggression. They found the opening kills. It looked like it was done and dusted, but then Astralis, Forest most notably, they found a couple of kills, 2 in fact, really even back the man count, and then got all the way back to the bomb side. But that 2v2, well, Yeti came out on top. This is arguably the one area where having call-out as your last man standing is a vulnerability. Not because he's a bad player, not because of anything like that, but when you're a coach who's not typically in these really high intense moments, the 1 versus 1 match point situation against the NAL champions of last year, that is a lot to deal with. And he played that a little bit scared. He tucked himself away in the corner, which arguably is the worst thing you can do, because Yeti can just sweep from the right hand side of the bomb side all the way to the left and eventually just pre-fire the corner because it's the only last place remaining that Kola could be in. Exactly what happened. With that ARX doing 47 damage per bullet, Callout really stood no chance unless he hit the first bullet headshot. Yeti clutches, the Sonics live on, OT is enabled, and basement is the first bomb site in OT that we will go to. It is Astralis on defense and Sonics on attack, so things haven't been shaken up in that regard.
Back downstairs to this Lockers bomb site, as we talked about before. Right now, it is working out quite well for the defenders. In fact, it has a 100% win rate for the defenders through this matchup.
Beep boop.
Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Thank you.
You are correct.
The way that you looked gave me vibes. It gave me
vibes?
Gave me bad vibes. The way you looked, I was like, did I screw up again? Just when it's like, oh, a zombie's a defender, not an attacker.
No, it's like, what do you mean by I was wrong in my Ben prediction?
I was just early. See, I actually
ahead.
predict the future. I'm just 40 seconds ahead of the game.
Tell me, who gets the opening kill in this round?
Astralis.
Okay.
It's going to be Forest.
So in 40 seconds...
Forest will get the very first pick.
About 130, 120-ish. We'll see if that's
I was wrong.
A bit early.
Shuttle. I do not, but that was next round. Next round he's going to do it. Another engagement to follow up on. Yeti calls for the adrenal surge. I think he's earned it. He and Kansan are the 2 players on the team that have broken double digits. Yeti in particular had a spectacular previous round, which got him over that hump. Still, Astralis like what they see. Grixer taking out Forest, though, as we talked about, and Kansan will let one slip by, but Shuttle is there. And just like that, Shuttle again narrowing the gap on that KD. And he's taken out by Grixer. A second kill for the Sonics coming in.
What is happening?
Into a 3v3. This is a very chaotic match. I like the energy.
He flicked the jammer in the same moment the guy swings him from the door. Then he sprints into a guy that's crouched in the window and he dies as well, gets traded back, and now 3v3, minute 10 left to go. arguably Soniqs are in a good position. They got Hard Breach on Thermite, 2 exothermic charges left to go. They got 2 grenades in the pockets of Grixer. Astralis, they got 1 C4, 3 Toxic Babes, and 1 Keeper Barrier that just recharged. So both sides have utility, they're both healthy, and they can both win this round.
I wonder if that Kiba barrier actually acts as a little lip that Yeti can sit on that isn't a full fall through that hatch.
They break when you land on them.
There you go.
They do. No lipping is allowed.
See, because I remember the early clips where they didn't, but then people could climb on them and get up to all kinds of hijinks, and then they decided, I think that's not a good idea. 3v3 with 30 seconds left, and execute will happen. Nitro Cell in the hands of J90 again. We call it this explosive lullaby. Who's going to get put to sleep? Toxic canisters go out. That's because Iconic is still alive, but he's expended all of them. So with 15 seconds left, there it goes, and it connects, taking out Super. Next one in line is Grixer. He's lost Yeti to Iconic, and now it's all up to Grixer, who finds kill number 3. 2 more, but do they elude him? He doesn't have time. He swings onto Iconic, but nobody from Astralis is going to give him a single inch. And that's again Astralis on match point, this time in overtime. They got 2 rounds to put it away.
I love when teams, they pre-rip the C4 because we call this like an amateur mistake at this level of play in Pro League, where when you hear them start planting, that's when you rip the C4, because when you pull it out in your hand, it makes that ripping sound from the tape, and that's when the attackers will hear it, they will stop planting, they'll run away, they'll survive. The C4 is essentially wasted, or it buys you a couple of seconds. By ripping it early, like 10-15 seconds ahead of time, they don't know. And they didn't hear it. He ripped it with the explosion that happened. So when they went for the plant, he just tossed it on out. There was no sound cue for the attackers. It's a guaranteed kill. There was no way they knew the C4 was coming unless they were simply guessing. The exterior wall and server wasn't being held, or maybe wasn't open up. That meant nobody could shoot it mid-air, as the last member from the side of Soniqs was on the hatch, who then dropped the bomb site itself. So great play from Astralis. They're now an OT match point. We're now swapping sides. Soniqs are on the defense, Astralis on the attack, and it will be another basement situation here.
Will we continue to see the defenders win every single time? Now that is the real question here. Again, this Locker's bomb site has a 100% win rate for the defense.
That's pretty good.
Hey, that's pretty good. That's 5 attempts so far for the attackers to dislodge the defenders from this position, pull off and execute, and or win the entire round. And so far, they have accomplished zip. Zip.
Same early beginnings, roaming upstairs, of course. EE1D went off. That lion scan is going to help, clear out the roamers and make sure they won't move too much when that execute or when the engagement comes around. The Jackal we see right now, Forest instead of Archives Tellers. He's looking for feetsies to find and enemies to locate, and so far might just find one here in the blue stairs.
I don't think he's been the MVP of this series by any stretch of the imagination, but Callout has more than overperformed his expectations. I did not expect him to be doing as well as he has done thus far, and again, I have to wonder how much of that is this Astralis system. We look back on Callout when he was on the Wichita Wolves in CL, and we looked at them in E United. J90 with a beautiful shot on Rexen as we talk. That's the first minute into action, and Rexen on that Valkyrie is no more. But again, talking about Callout for a second here, is it the system that he's benefiting off of? Because Callout going 7-11 would be a massive boon for him, if you think about it, based on where he was on a United base, where he was on Wichita Wolves. And again, maybe you just allow the rest of your team to flourish. When you've got J90 dropping 13 and you got Forrest dropping 16, you don't necessarily need to be the flashiest player, you just need to do your job, and that's exactly what Callout is doing.
Putting up good numbers, of course, playing the hard breach role as we expected, because it makes the most sense if you're not like a stable player in the roster. And he's a coach, so he knows the ins and outs of how the strategy works, but he's not, of course, as mechanically involved as a player. So great choice for them. They got flashbangs in their pocket, they can clear out this position. Super actually in a great position to really take this round into his pocket. But he has to stay alive, he has to play aggressive, he would have to find something here. He can't just sit back.
At the top of blue stairs, continuing to hold that position, but Astralis haven't moved in that direction. They've got this open area, they've got the hatches open, and they've got a good line of sight down towards red, but moving those players out of position is exactly what they need, and they'll hope that the paralysis of an EE1D allows that to happen a bit easier. Smoke goes down, yet he looks the wrong way. J90 outduels him, another one following up on this beat. So many bullets, but cannot deal with Grixer, who suddenly picks up 2. Grixer had an incredible round previously, and it's a third, even though it's technically Kansan, who right now is in the midst of a rodeo. Call Out, who we had praised in the midst of the smoke, and down through bullets and through the gas. We have all 15 rounds needed for Astralis versus Soniqs, as it's now again a tie game. 1 round to settle the score.
The final round. I would say I am surprised every time when you see Super play on blue stairs with no shield and no backup, server hatch being opened up. It seemed like it was such an easy choice to go servers there. Isolate Super, get another bigger man advantage, then go for a default plant in servers. But they went for that optional hatch drop smoke plant or play, which almost worked out but not quite right. Oh my god, we're going to Archives Teller, statistically the worst and least played bomb site out of all of your options for this final round. Need I remind you, on the last time they played this one, it was Soniqs rushing from the back alley door into bottom square, rushed to side, instantly planted, and Astralis won a 5 versus 4 post-plant retake on the defense. Extending up above, of course, is the iconic reinforcing Janitor's Wall. Has a rotate as well. So again, we're extending up top floor, first floor, and we can even play in the basement too. All 3 layers here of this map being utilized. Deagle doing some vertical damage to the floor as well, giving you liners of sight in case they go for that same cheeky plant position. Now I gotta see what Soniqs have in mind for this one. They got a good operator lineup, they got a ton of different pieces of utility. The one thing they do not have, they have no grenades because Rexon on the finger is bringing flashbangs instead of frag grenades.
It's a very interesting setup that they have. If you look at that, you've got 2 sets of breaches on both Grixer and Super, so they're expecting to settle in quite well because you don't bring breaches if you want a quick execute unless you intend to use them in the post plan. Those breaches need to be done methodically. Again, in terms of the off-site presence, we see that upstairs roam of the Azami yet again of Iconic. He's got Forest with him too. So these teams love to defend CEO, they love to defend office up top with that Azami. And now, how do they answer?
No way!
What will be the first push? And it's exactly that. Forest flying through a window, taking down Kanzan. Kanzan is one of those 2 hard breachers, as we talked about before, but he didn't have the can opener with him. So instead, all the weight is on the shoulders of Super.
You take away some verticality now, but of course, as you mentioned, you got 2 sets of breaching charges, so honestly, you can still go above your Soniqs and do the same amount of vertical damage as the Bug if he was alive. Forest being 17 kills, of course you can say that him trading 1-for-1 might not be worth, but Kanzan has 16 too, so that really means that it's an even trade-off. And Oryx, an operator, does not bring anything to the bigger picture of this round. He can move fast and jump up hatches, but that's all you can do. So honestly, a very valuable trade for the side of Astralis here. 4v4, minute and 20 to go.
We've got the Melusi spotted on that drone, but I don't know if they can capitalize on it just yet. Or at least it looked like the Melusi. Who was it they were looking at then?
Not Melusi.
The silhouettes, they actually confuse the ever-living hell out of me. Sometimes I'll see them and I'll be like, oh, is that Ace? Oh, it looks like Jackal. I have no idea. Don't even get me started on, what is it, Aruni and Amaru? Confusing the names. Fresh had a great Twitter thread about that at one point where he's like, am I the only person who just routinely confuses them? And I'm like, nope, I'm the same.
Aruni, Asami, and Amaru.
Yep.
It's not easy.
It's not easy at all. And it hasn't been easy for either of these teams as they fought tooth and nail across this map, requiring every single moment. Though it hasn't been as fast or it hasn't been as slow of a 15 rounds as we would have expected because of the breakneck pace of a couple of these rounds. This one, though, definitely shaping up to go down to the bitter end, and it's Astralis with the upper hand with 30 seconds to go. They pick off Grixer. Suddenly, the Soniqs, using that adrenal surge, need to find at least 1 more kill, but Yeti needs something at the stairs because he's not being called into action. Astralis are just waiting. They've got the Kiba barriers, they've got protection, and they've got the time on their side. Soniqs will have to barrel in through 2 entry points, and Astralis are prepared to greet them. And the numbers for Soniqs go from bad to worse. Diffuser getting planted down, Shuttle at the moment unable to get into the bomb site, but the rest of Astralis is. They end whatever comeback from the Soniqs could have potentially brewed, and yeah, it took 8 rounds, and they did it with a coach. It was ugly, but it worked. And Astralis
It's exciting.
pick up an 8-7 victory, an exciting one at that, Nick, as the 2 teams that finished in the finals of the Charlotte Major walk away with victories today.
That they do. A hard-fought one, of course, for Astralis, and It did look like the Sonics gonna steal away the show. They're up 4-0 in the first half, but then of course, as soon as they figured things out, they woke up, Callout got implemented as well, got active on the map, and individual players from both teams shined so much. Canson from Soniqs, Forest on Astralis, 16 and 17 kills respectively, big numbers.
All right. Well, it's Dark Zero in map number 1 and match number 1, and Astralis in a nail-biter just beat out Soniqs, but still Soniqs got them to overtime. I would argue more it was Astralis who got them to overtime because Soniqs had such a lead in the first half, but slowly but surely they got worn down. Like erosion. It doesn't take long, or it doesn't happen quickly. It takes a while, just like Astralis' victory. That's it for map number 2. We're going to toss to a break, and then we'll come back. We still got 3 more matches for you. Sit tight. We'll be back in a moment.
For you, on my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, he's my mind. All the time, he's my mind. I know that you're dangerous. I'm addicted to you. I was sipping more for 2 years straight to the face. Champagne belly bubble still won't go away. Last year my best man hit a stain with bare face. Now he's got a L behind the water's cold case. I wake up with pain sometime and never go away. Wonder why I bow down to my knees when I pray. In my city gritty, gotta keep it on your waist. Or you might be a victim, they'll find you DOA. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, he's my mind. All the time, he's my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you.
You said hello and I lost my control in just one tiny second. You do to me what I've seen in the movies, but this really happening. My mind explodes. I can feel my bones shaking to the beat of my bleeding heart. An overload. Don't know how this goes, but I'm pretty sure you just made my world stop. I can't believe my eyes when I get close to you, close to you, close to you. So pretty I could.
All right, that's what I like. Close maps. It was an 8-7 victory for Astralis, but Soniqs took it to the limit. It was interesting. There was some rust being shaken off. It was a little bit sloppy from times, but there was also some pretty great individual plays, and Astralis getting it done with Coach Callout. Can't really ask for much more if you're on the Astralis crew, huh?
No, absolutely not. I mean, it did go to overtime, which means they don't get the full 3 points, but I think they're still going to be happy with how this one ended. They came back from a pretty significant loss, down 4-0 at the start of that matchup, but managed to pull through. Contain that mental despite not even calling attack timeout. They had it under control.
Well, do you need to when you've got the coach right there? You don't really need to at that point.
No.
Yeah.
I do wonder if that changed up a little bit of their internal workflow because they knew,
Probably.
hey, you know what, this didn't work, we'll try this, we can try a couple different things out. I just felt like in those first 4 rounds, they didn't really play together and then changed that right as round 5 hit and then decided that we're gonna play a much different, more cohesive style of Siege to a point where we're not throwing ourselves 1v1 at one roamer individually. And when they did that, it looked way better. So honestly, congratulations to Astralis in spite of that overtime score.
Yeah, and Soniqs honestly doing pretty well overall, but we'll get into that a little bit more. In the meantime, we've got Callout standing by in Vegas to chat with us. Congrats on the win today. Back in the game. It's a little bit different, isn't it? So we were talking about this a little bit. No tack timeout called by Astralis during that whole match, but with you in there, they really don't need to, huh?
No, I mean, pretty much said what I needed to say between the rounds. It didn't really. I actually feel like we need to call a timeout. It was more so just talk about it in prep phase, and it was good.
A lot of times on defense, you were going up against the Soniqs, and it felt like SQ were going for a lot of like really fast kind of direct pushes where they didn't want to engage with your roams, but they wanted to hit that site. Was that something that you expected coming into this, or was that something you had to realize kind of halfway through your defenses and adjust to?
We knew that, they prep well for almost all their games, so, hitting us direct on site is probably pretty smart because, like, our roam is usually our strong point. So, we kind of expected it coming in. I would say overall our game plan really wasn't there as it was with DP because I was playing, so we kind of just did a lot of stuff on the fly, but we were expecting it more so direct side hits.
We didn't get to talk for too long at the Charlotte Major, but the one thing I mentioned was it was cool to see you make that transition, or it had to have been a really big step for you to want to go from player to coach after so long having to spend time in the player chair. Talk to me about what that switch is like, even though it's on super short notice and you have to find a way to kind of get back into it on with only like a little bit of time to prepare. What's it like after being a player for so long and then to kind of come back into that, even if only for one best of one?
Well, since I joined the team, about 4 months ago, I haven't really had a chance to actually play the game. It's been literally just, practice, prep, other than drills. So I haven't really actually had a chance to even play ranked that much. So, coming in today, the biggest thing was I just told the guys I'm just going to move. I just got to outpace these guys and catch them off guard. So that was kind of my whole plan. Worked out a few rounds as well, had some good impact, I felt like. Some of those roams especially. But
yeah, for sure.
Overall, it was really just moving, just going. I just knew I had to move because I couldn't aim. So
yeah, you definitely did that. You clicked some heads as well. You put up a pretty decent stat line overall for sure for having to step in at short notice. But I want to ask you one more question before we let you go. So obviously Charlotte Major making it very deep, making it to the very end, and then not quite getting over the finish line. Coming into stage number 2, what do you think the biggest lesson the team learned from that major experience was that they can take through here to this stage?
I think one of the biggest things is making sure that whatever tempo we have for the team we want to play against, having that off the rip and not, going down early. Kind of like what happened today. It's somewhat excusable. We don't have DP. The other thing is defensive adaptation. We knew we needed to work on that after the major because DZ kind of killed us on our bank.
All right, well, there you go. Got to win today. Went the distance, but you got it done either way. Hopefully next time you'll have DP Fire back in the seat again. Until then, thanks for chatting with us and good luck in the next game.
All righty. Appreciate it, guys. See ya.
Always good to chat with him, man. Always good.
Yeah. It's a really kind of unique pleasure to have the coach, right? To be able to talk not only about the game we just saw, but also a little bit more of the behind-the-scenes kind of stuff too. Where even though obviously call out someone with a ton of playing experience, now he's seeing it from that different perspective, and so when you can kind of get that interview, that's always fun.
Yeah, I like that you asked at the end there about what they learned, talking about that defensive adaptation, because that's something that I had talked to him about previously before the stage started, and that was a big reason why I thought maybe Soniqs were going to catch them off guard. But we saw, I think they adapted really, really well to those fast pushes that Soniqs were bringing on attack, and I thought it was there for them today. So nice to see that already they're putting lessons from that major into application and improving their game. That's
Ultimately,
great.
here's the big part for me. Yes, they probably would have been able to win this match if it, not in overtime, if DP was here. I do think that there's some truth to that. But the fact that it was DP gone and Call-Out was able to play where he was quite literally the best thing that could have happened and the best way for them to fit Call-Out in, because he had Abana. Yes, he was playing the secondary hard breach. He had some flank watch opportunities that sometimes didn't quite go his way, like he mentioned, because of his own gun skill. But then he switches to defense. He's playing Mozzie. He's going roam heavy, and that actually really worked out. Like we mentioned, we were talking in the green room, if you're playing with a substitute, the best thing you can do is play on defense, and they made the most of almost every round they played on their defensive half. It felt great. Call-Out meshed in really well, so congrats to Astralis for making things work in the clutch.
Yeah, Call-Out looking in the mirror later in the day, he's like, I still got it. He definitely does.
Call-Out balled out today, so good job, man.
That's right, the 4th C. Well, let's check out a couple moments from that last map, and we do want to highlight some of what Soniqs accomplished in that, because there were some good rounds, and namely, those were good rounds from Kanzen. He put together some pretty stellar clutches in a couple of those rounds, didn't he?
He sure did. Kanzen was having a fantastic match. And I don't know what it is about Bank, but it always seems to bring out the best in him. It feels like Kanzen was able to move through this bomb site so often. It started on defense here when he was playing on smoke. Round 3, he was able to move around, clutch out, and then move to attack. This is the site that Kanzen just owns. He has so many hype clips. The 1v4, obviously, everybody should remember from Invite that really got him famous on this bomb site. And then coming back for the 1v3, just sprinting at him there. He doesn't have a lot of time to get the kill and then go for the disable, so Kanzen takes advantage of that, swinging him early.
Here's the problem, though. As well as Kanzen played in this game, he had 2 clutches and very nearly had a 3rd, to a point where maybe it's his positioning because he's not roaming very much. He's usually a site player. So when it comes to defensive clutches, how often are Soniqs really relying on that to push them or propel them through this game? It's nice when you have it, but Kansan had to do it multiple times, and it almost felt like sometimes he's like the last line of defense to a point where the Soniqs' first approach doesn't really work, so you throw it in Kansan's hands in hopes that like you're able to close around.
Yeah.
It doesn't always fall that way, so maybe there needs to be more of a playbook expansion if the Soniqs want to keep this kind of pressure going.
I think it also was really impactful when Kansan died in that 15th round. I mean, ultimately it was an 8-7 game.
Yeah.
Kansan the first one to die from the Oryx jumping out of the window. That's your buck off the board when they're totally reliant on him to be that top-down pressure, because Soniqs historically really do not like running Sledge. He's the only top-down pressure they have. Him dying, I think, first in that final round was so painful for them.
Well, let's talk about that final round a little bit more. Jacob, you want to take us through that one? Because obviously it's the one that won Astralis the map, too. But like you said, Jesse, it was where a couple of the playmakers from both teams were taken out early.
Well, look at this more particularly because it's the two big guys. It's Forest and Kansan. Both of them are actually going to die to start us off, which means that it's more of a level playing field and both of the heavy hitters are gone to start this game. Forest went for one of those runouts, which he had already done to start this one, but now it means Iconic. Look at that Grixer kill. It's now going to force everyone from Soniqs to not worry about the drops and start coming one by one down the staircases to worry about this Teller's push. It's got legs to start with, but not as they make their approach toward the site proper, and as they get closer and closer, they're about to get caught in these crossfires. Here comes the first one. In 2 seconds, you're going to notice it. There's two players right back behind the desk. That's about to be the only push remaining, as Yeti's the next one to fall, and then they just try to plant back behind that copy machine. That's a default enough plant spot if you're able to open up the reinforcements like right there on the front desk wall, but it's not going to work if you have so many different angles to watch and that many players from Astralis still alive in that moment. It forces SQ to get off of the vertical, start playing more laterally, and when they do, they don't have enough angles like to cover as well as Astralis is doing it themselves. So that was a really good way to stall that out.
There's a very defender-sided game here on Bank, which isn't typically what we see, but it happens every now and again. I think part of that was a zombie coming through, and really we're seeing both teams taking big advantage of that.
Dude.
That was an impactful operator.
So difficult to attack, and then also I think the way that some of these teams were attacking, I think Soniqs probably could have maybe been a little bit more thorough in taking map control, and that might have been another big reason why this didn't lean more towards the attackers than it did. But ultimately, both teams still played very well, and I think should be happy with how this game went.
Is it weird that the two guys who have really taken advantage of a zombie the most also happen to be Finka mains on attack? Is that about to be the meta we see? Like Finka, Azami? You saw where she was like getting played. Those keep it barriers were upstairs on square window. They were blocking off stuff on janitor. You'd open up like sight lines in janitor closet to look towards like the CEO windows. You'd put him there. You'd put him everywhere. So like on a map like Bank, it feels like maybe you should opt to ban her instead because of how much usage she got in this map. That might be a worthwhile thing to just remove completely.
I think we're teams seeing kind of what the Azami experience is, and then we'll kind of see if the bans come in a little bit later, right? I think you might be right. We might start to see the bans sneak in once in a while. But we're going to see another match coming at us in just a moment. It's going to be Oxygen versus Parabellum. Should be another good one, so do not go anywhere. The Rainbow Six North American League returns right after this.